I made this carrot pie in an attempt to make a springtime alternative to pumpkin pie. This is a pretty simple carrot dessert recipe that turned out good enough for me to want to try again in the future with a few modifications. For now, I'll show you what I did and speculate on what could have made it better and even easier to make. The recipe I based this off of was just a canned pumpkin recipe, the same one I modified to make a pie out of a butternut squash from my garden, this time with a pumpkin replaced with shredded carrot. To start off, I needed to make a pie crust. I didn't do anything special, just used the recipe on the can of shortening that I had. For the sake of easy editing, I will just do a quick time lapse. You can see how bad I am at making pie crust. I take no shame in it, and neither should you if you aren't good at it either. That being said, I think this would have been better with a pecan pie crust, which you could make yourself or buy ready-made from the store. Lots of carrot cake recipes have pecans on top. Since this isn't going to have a topping, it makes sense to put pecans in the crust. Oh, look at that! I got it transferred to the pie dish in one piece. Did I put in the extra effort of fluting the edges or otherwise making them look pretty? Of course not! Next step was to grate about 400 grams of carrot. A small can of pumpkin is a little over 400 since that's what I based this recipe off of. I intended to weigh it out on the scale as I was doing it, but I didn't realize how difficult it was to grate carrots. Somehow, I think this might be the first time in my life grating carrots, at least as an adult. I had weighed them out beforehand, and the 6 medium carrots that I had were a little over 400 grams, so that was good enough for me. I figured all this was a little less than 400. Not to worry, because my plan was to supplement the carrot with coconut, unsweetened. I toasted about half a cup in this pan over medium heat. I foolishly thought that some of the fat would render out like it does with bacon, but it really ends up being a minimal amount, if any. Toasting the coconut is optional, so is using it at all. Next time I might try not toasting it, just to know what it's like. That didn't take long. I set it aside in this bowl. I figured it made sense to cook the carrots too, and I did that in the same pan after adding a spoonful of coconut oil. If you're using any kind of squash, you'd want to roast it or otherwise pre-cook it in some way. So that's what I was doing here. I wanted to get them softened up a little bit. I added generous amounts of cinnamon and ginger. Those are typically what you find in carrot cake. I only cooked this for like 3 minutes. I wish I had done more. Carrots have a lot of water in them, more than any kind of winter squash, and I think it would have been good to drive more of it off. In the end, the filling seemed to have more of a wet texture than pumpkin pie, and I assume that is why. Oh yeah, I also started preheating my oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit around now. It didn't smell like it had quite enough cinnamon, so I added a little more. I turned the heat off. Again, I could have and perhaps should have cooked this longer. When I add the 3/4 cups of sugar, the power of osmosis will show you how much water is hiding in those carrots. Sugar will act just like salt, meaning that will draw moisture out of anything, as long as the concentration of dissolved solids inside the thing is lower than those of the sugar itself. Since I just dumped pure sugar in here, there is a steep concentration gradient, so the water comes out really fast. The canned pumpkin recipe that I was following said to add 2 eggs to the pumpkin, so since the carrot was replacing the pumpkin, I needed to add the egg to it as soon as it was cool enough to safely do so. I checked the temperature, thinking that this would be cool enough, but I ended up getting a couple gross chunks of egg white in the pie. Maybe parts of the mixture were still too hot, but I probably just didn't mix it well enough. Next, I poured in a standard-sized can of evaporated milk. I mentioned earlier that the filling came out kinda soggy. I think I could have helped mitigate that by using less evaporated milk and perhaps supplementing with powdered milk. Maybe next time. I dumped in most of the coconut. The rest I reserved to put on the top. Again, the coconut is optional. It creates a texture contrast that isn't for everyone. You could toss in some raisins if that's something you think you would like. Whatever goes well with carrot cake would probably go well with this. There's the coconut on top. Isn't that pretty? Okay, all ready to go into the oven at 450 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. After that, the temperature gets reduced to 350 degrees for 40 minutes. After an hour in the oven, this looks like a cheap knockoff of a pumpkin pie, which it is. Okay, I actually think this looked pretty good. I like the visual texture that the coconut gives it. It's super orange, as you might expect. I mean, really, that's some crazy color saturation. Let's see what it looks like on the inside. Yeah, there's that nasty bit of egg white that I was talking about. It's very colorful on the inside as well. The carrot and the coconut shreds look kind of like confetti. If I wanted this to look more homogeneous like pumpkin pie, I could have pureed the carrot instead of grating it. There are videos where people have done that and gotten apparently good results. Overall, I thought this was decent, with the exception of seeming a little watery. If you feel like trying something new, give it a shot and customize it to your liking.